Beautiful day, straight black proud brothers and sisters. It's your brother, DC Radical One, with another radical thought. And today's discussion, man, I want to talk about the myth of non-violent social change. And, I've been thinking about this for a while. I really didn't know how to express it. But one thing that I've noticed in recent times is that this myth, the myth of nonviolent social change, which is something that was attributed to the methodology of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., right, in the civil rights movement, and that the way that they changed America is, through nonviolence, right? That's what they tell us. But this is a lie, and this is a dangerous lie. And it's a lie that allows the people in charge to continue to brutalize the populace, right? To control the populace, to brutalize the populace, to exploit the populace, right? And of any, not just black people, that's the thing, but allows the people in charge now, billionaires, the technocrats, the course the Zionists, whatever other names you want to put on it. It allows them to control people, because with the civil rights movement, we were taught that the protests and the boycotts and these things, force the legislation and blah blah blah. But the reality is, if you actually watch Eyes on the Prize, the civil rights people that at that time, that were alive at that time, admit that they used the threat of the Malcolm X's and people like that, and told them that, hey, if you don't pass some legislation, you don't do something, our people are going to start listening to these people, and these people do not believe in nonviolence, right? And so that was the catalyst for some of the change that took place as far as legislatively, right? In addition to that, when actual violence started taking place, when riots started taking place, when groups like the Deacons for Defense and Robert F. Williams and the Black Panther Party, when they started becoming more prominent, when the call came for Black Power and the Black Liberation Army and all these other groups decided that nonviolence no longer worked, then all of a sudden all types of bills got passed, laws got changed, and all these things take place that became the foundation for modern America, if you will, right? But here's what's deep about it. It's not just black people who have bought into this myth of nonviolent social change, because if you look at white people right now, right? Whether you look at these ICE protests or these other things that they've been protesting lately, right? You see some of these protests on TV, and some of them you don't see. You see on the internet or whatever. They bought into the myth of nonviolent social change, and then they're wondering why nothing is changing, right? And you see the thing with the Epstein files, and people, were protesting that, and now you're seeing people upset with the war, but you don't see anything. And the reason you don't see anything is because people have bought into the myth of nonviolent social change. Now, the reason I say it's a myth is because even if you are nonviolent as a citizenry, those in power, the system, if you will, and really those controlling the system, are going to use the mechanisms of power, meaning police and military, to act violently towards you, right? So we've seen that with ICE. Now, I'm not even an advocate for the whole immigration thing or against the ICE thing per se, but it's a perfect modern example. People are protesting non-violently, and yet the people who are protesting non-violently, remember we had the woman that got deleted in her car, and then there's some other gentleman and people being beaten and brutalized, and all types of stuff taking place while people are trying to protest non-violently. So even if one says that you're going to be non-violent, there's no guarantee. In fact, not only is there no guarantee, it's almost a guarantee that the people in charge will react violently through their proxies, meaning the police and the military. Because at this point, the police and the military, and maybe it's always been this way, the police and the military are simply the tools of brutalization and oppression. Now, for black people, that's always been the case. What's different is we are increasingly starting to see white people be brutalized and even deleted, removed from the planet. And they're trying to figure out, what's going on. Why all of a sudden are the police reacting like that towards them? And I've even seen some cases where some European males were deleted by police, and they're like, no one is doing nothing and no one wants to say anything. And it's almost like they kind of keep trying to keep it quiet in their community, right? In the meantime, you have the Epstein situation. Now, those were not black women, those were not black children. Those are, for the most part, anyway, European females and European children. And as far as I know, the only politician that was really willing to step up and say something about it and do something about it was Thomas Massey, and they just got rid of him. They just they just primaried him, right? So, and I think that's part of what's going on. Now that I think about it, part of what's going on is that white people are used to being able to vote away their concerns, right? Or at least feels like they have voted away their concerns. Now, it is my belief that at least since 9/11, no president and increasingly no Congress has been for the people. Every president and Congress since 9/11 has been under the increasing control of the Zionists. I won't say under complete control, but increasing control of the Zionists. And we saw that, of course, with George Bush and the continuing of the Iraq and Afghanistan wars and the trillions of dollars that disappeared into the ether with that. So with Barack Obama just handing over $1 bazillion to the bankers, and up to Joe Biden and this open borders policy where we find out people like the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society was in charge of that and benefiting from that, and up to right now with President Trump and this ridiculous war in Iran. And you go back and look at what General Wesley Clark or former General Wesley Clark said about the 7 countries that were going to be attacked. And when you look at the 7 countries, all of them at the time were enemies of Israel. And now, the United States has made war on all those countries. And the only thing that has come about it is literally or nearly $40 trillion in debt, right? And massive amounts of money to Israel, massive amounts of weapons to Israel. And now people are noticing it, better late than never. And people don't seem to know what to do. And the reason people don't seem to know what to do is because Americans, right? Black, white, Hispanic, Chinese, everybody has bought into the myth of nonviolent social change. And what's so hilarious about this concept, right? The irony of it is America was born, allegedly, historically speaking, was born in violence, was born through war, right? Was born through revolution. And so for a country that's been born on revolution, to think that when the country is on the verge of being taken over, or maybe has been taken over by foreign interests and a foreign lobby, and the interests of the people are not being or the concerns of the people, the interests of the people, don't seem to be considered by anyone that's in charge, by the Congress, Supreme Court, and certainly not the president and his cohort. The idea that you can just vote away these problems and put in someone from the other party, when both parties are openly, at this point, everyone knows both parties are controlled by the conglomerate of the Israeli lobby. So if it's not just AIPAC, it's AIPAC and other assorted entities, which all represent the interests of the same group of people. And so the idea that you can just vote away the problems, that you can get a new president in 2028, and that you can get a new Congress this year, and something's going to change. Yeah, I mean the name, the names on the door is going to change. It's like a bad football team, right? You see a bad football team, and the problem's the owner. And you see a bad football team, and they'll change the GM, and the GM will change the coach, and the coach will change the coordinators, and the coordinators will bench some players, and this goes on, and those people get switched out for years and years and years, and yet the team still stinks, right? Because the person at the top, the person in charge, sucks. Or in this case, the person at the top, the person in charge, has no interest in being better or making things better for the citizenry, right? We're now in America in an open kleptocracy. We're in a situation where money is being stolen, grift is happening, virtually open robbery, open corruption. Lobbying, what they call lobbying, is really just corruption. You're just buying politicians, and that's part of the American system. And so when you have that, and you have massive wealth inequality and massive corruption and massive grift, and you have a system where people buy the politicians, right? And then they buy the politicians, and then they think about how this works. You have, let's look at the AIPAC thing. You have a group of people, Israelis, who buy the politicians through AIPAC, and then they get the politicians to send money to Israel, and then they take the money again back to buy the politicians. So you have a cycle of corruption where the money just goes to the politicians from the people who vote for the money to give back to those people to buy the politicians. And you wonder why regular American citizens can't get anything done. When a system like that is in place, no, you can't get anything done. And like I said, you have trillions of dollars in debt. You have the economy just going in the toilet, except for a small group of people. So you have massive wealth and income inequality. You have massive health issues. You have massive unemployment that's being hidden because of the way that they count unemployment. You have massive underemployment because of inflation. So people who had jobs that wouldn't be considered underemployment, literally in the last 3 or 4 years, are underemployed because of the massive inflation. And the way that they count that, it doesn't show how bad things are. You have growing and burgeoning homelessness, people living in their cars, people living in the woods, and people living on the street, and people living in basically wherever they can get to, right? Like whatever you can think of. When they count homelessness, they don't count people that's sleeping on somebody's couch. They don't count that as homeless. You have people who now are renting, more people than ever renting rooms in people's houses. That's renting room in a house of someone you don't know is basically homelessness. If we being honest, right? It's not a home. It's a place to stay. So in essence, is homelessness. So this is literally the state of the people on the lower end of the economic system, the economic structure. And if we look at the last, I'll say 6 or 7 years, realistically, because of inflation and all these other things, the most people are one class behind where they were, right? So the people who were middle class were now working class. The people that were working class are now impoverished. The people impoverished are now destitute, and the destitute people are out on the street. But the people at the top are richer than ever, right? So with a system like that, what makes you think that there's a way, a non-violent way, to change that situation? Because it benefits the people at the top. They have no interest in changing it, but they're the only people that have power to change it, because the systems that are in place in the as far as politically, in the American political system, the systems that are in place are no longer effective because they've been hijacked by the people that have money. So that leaves people with a situation of, what are you going to do? How are you going to change the system? How are you going to make things more equitable? How are you going to get, let's say, change the tax situation, right? These people make gobs of money, bazillions of dollars, and they're not paying tax. They're paying a tax rate lower than a regular average citizen. And no politician dares even mention raising taxes on the rich, right? They don't even mention it. They're scared to death to even say it. So with a system like that, and this is just for regular Americans, we're not even going to talk about black people today, because we already know we're at the bottom of the barrel in everything. What makes you think that you can change that non-violently? That's all I'm saying. So I'm saying that realistically, for black people in America, white people in America, Asian people in America, Hispanic people in America, you're going to have to get back to your American roots. And if you want to be free and avoid this coming technocracy with this AI and these robots and the surveillance state and these forced medical procedures and all this weird stuff that's coming piece by piece, because some of it's been implemented and some of it isn't. If you want to avoid that, it's going to take more than holding up some signs. It's going to take more than some legislation. It's going to take more than some protests. You're going to have to get back to being, go back to your American roots. You're going to have to go back to doing what your ancestors, the George Washingtons and those people back then, right? What was the guy talking about? The British are coming, that time, those people. You're going to have to go back to that time. You're going to have to reestablish your, reestablish your sovereignty. And so that's really all I wanted to say. Someone asked me, someone said, why don't you ever have solutions? Hey, man, because I thought the solutions were obvious. And so I don't know if this will even go out to the YouTube audience, or this may just be sent directly to inboxes, because I'm not even sure this is a message that I can that YouTube will let go by. But yeah, that's what I want to talk about today. It's the myth of nonviolent social change. Because hey, we gotta be realistic. In a world where the people in charge violate children, there's no way that they care about any other human beings. And that's what we're going to have to accept before we can even move forward. So with that, brothers and sisters, thank you all for listening. Again, it's your brother DC Radical 1. With that, I say a BB48 and straight black pride. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also follow us on our other social media platforms. On Instagram, we're at dc.radical1. On Twitter, we're at dc_radical_one. and the Cash App is $DC Radical 1. Again, thank you for subscribing. A beat before ODA and straight black pride.